Okay, so we need to play it again. There's something else that, I'm gonna wait until we actually get into the video to talk about. I didn't notice this at all. Right, okay, you can see it here. All these other lockers' lights are off, but this one's on, which means it's open. The thing that's strange about this video has gotta be this. Officer Meekins? Sir, do you mean me, sir? As I understand it, the locker apparatus works like this. When you grab a handle, sensor reads your fingerprint. If the print matches the registered data, the light turns on and the lock is released. According to my very limited experience, that's the way I understand it, sir. If so, then something is seriously wrong with this picture. Yeah, so the light's on before anyone actually even gets in the room. When the victim reaches for the handle to open the locker, let's rewind to a little earlier. If we could stop listening to this music, that'd be great. Here, notice the light? What's this? It's already lit! Precisely my point, Your Honor. The locker was already open before the victim grabbed the handle. Sound like chicken noise. Order! Order! What's the meaning of this? It's very simple, Your Honor. The locker wasn't locked on the day of the crime. But the locker locks are controlled by an electronic system. When a door is shut, a sensor is triggered, and the locker is automatically locked. Oh, I know! It must have broken down! Of course, I'm not an expert in this. Or anything, really. That's not likely, Your Honor. The sensor would detect and report any malfunction. Well, this goes to show novices should keep their mouths shut. Hint, hint, wink, wink, Phoenix Wright. So then, Mr. Wright, do you have an explanation? Me, Your Honor? Yes. Why wasn't the locker locked? Me, Your Honor? Yes, well, you see, this isn't exactly my field. What do you think, Miss Scientific Investigator? Huh? Oh, maybe something like jammed the electronic system? Something jammed the sensor? Say, there's something else that seems out of place in this video. Yeah, I thought so too. There's gotta be another clue somewhere in this footage. Very well. Let's inspect the video once more. The locker wasn't locked. Mr. Wright, please point out the cause for this. Okay, so this is where I've got to point out the glove. Haha! Indeed! Please watch closely. This is the continuation of the part I showed you earlier. Oh, that was a glove. What's this? Something white fell out of the locker. It is all black and white, so it's hard to tell if it's actually white. But sir, it's been my experience that things fall out when doors are opened. I often fall out in real great distances when I open my car door, sir. We can't be sure that item was in the locker to begin with. What do you mean? The sensor triggers the lock when the door is shut. What if something was inserted, say, between the sensor and the door? Inserted? They're going to make high mileage out of this footage. I'm sure it took an entire team 7 days to make this animated sequence. This white thing wasn't inside the locker. It was stuck between the door and the sensor. Oh, I understand now, sir. It's just like my tie. 2 out of 3 times it gets stuck in the door when I get out of my patrol vehicle, sir. Instead of the door closing, my tie chokes me. But the object would have to be extremely thin to fit in the door. Not only that, it would also have to block electrical currents. It would need to be an insulator. Like a rubber glove, perhaps. Yes, an insulator, but at the crime scene. There just might have been something that fits the description. But sir, by insulator, don't you mean... I think I finally got this figured out. Very well. Will the defense please present the relevant evidence? Yes, please. What was this insulator that was stuck in the locker door? Why, it would have to be this rubber glove we found. It's right here. I found this near the locker. A thin rubber glove. But we can't be sure that was in the victim's locker. It has a tag that says SL9 incident. The video seems to depict the victim opening the locker. But that isn't the case. The lit lamp attests to this. On the day of the crime, even I could have opened that locker. Is this not so, Officer Meekins? Sir, it would appear so, sir. Order, order, order! So, are we to believe then that the victim whom this witness stabbed in the evidence room was not Detective Goodman? Do not be misled, Your Honor. What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth? The defense has merely demonstrated that possibility, and nothing more. The victim in the video was indeed Bruce Goodman. The prosecution will offer one more testimony to prove this. What? Officer Meekins, please testify about this. Sir, me, sir? I'm not sure what you're referring to, sir. Oh, you mean that, sir? Of course, sir. Is this a joke? Very well. Begin your testimony. Mystery Man 2. Sir, there's one other thing that proves the man was Detective Goodman, sir. To enter the evidence room, one must use their ID card. When an ID card is used, there's a record of it. At the time of the crime, the detective had used his ID card. An ID card record. I see. I have the ID card record right here, Your Honor. The ID used at 5:14 is that of the victim. Just before the crime, Yes, without a doubt, this is the victim's ID. Because no one can possibly make a replacement ID or anything of the sort. However, one thing does strike me as unusual. Several hundred cases should have been due for transferal. Why were there so few people using this room? This particular evidence room is only used for storing certain special cases. Special cases? Extremely violent cases involving police staff. Just hearing that makes my hair stand on end. Me too, although it doesn't make much of a difference. There were only a few cases up for transferal there, and most were cleared up by noon. Right, I see. Now let us move on to the cross-examination. I'm sure that's not important or anything. Ho-ho. There's one other thing that proves the man was Detective Goodman, sir. So, unlike your earlier testimony, you believe this to be rock solid, do you? Yes, sir. Solid as a stone, sir. If my hand wasn't wrapped in bandages, I'd even give the V for victory sign, sir. Couldn't he just use his right hand for that? Let's hear him out. The witness can't afford to make any more mistakes. To enter the evidence room, one must use their ID card. Is that card hanging from your neck one of those ID cards? Yes, sir, this card right next to my cup, sir. I keep it here so I won't ever forget it. But what if someone were to steal it from you? Keeping it out in the open like that? Maybe I shouldn't wear it around my neck. Remember when I said 2 out of 3 times my tie gets stuck in the car door when I get out? Well, the remaining time my ID card gets stuck. Instead of the door closing, my ID card chokes me. Maybe I should just leave this one alone. At any rate, each police officer has only one ID card. Both the police department and the prosecutor's office can attest to this. Please proceed with your testimony. When an ID card is used, there's a record of it. Let it be noted that this is the record the witness referred to. Let me see. Yes, that would be it. Detective Goodman. What's the matter? According to this, Mr. Edgeworth, your name is on here. So it is, Your Honor. Gasp. Not that prosecutor again. Hey, maybe he's behind all of this. Being a prosecutor, he could hide the evidence. Mommy, is that man in blue a murderer? Shh, don't stare at him. Are you supposed to have kids in the courtroom? Okay. It would seem the inquiry committee will want to speak with you again today. I have nothing to be ashamed of regarding my actions or their consequences. For now, let us continue with the cross-examination. Poor Mr. Edgeworth. It must be so difficult for him. At the time of the crime, the detective had used his card. Earlier, I believe, you testified that when you asked the man to show his ID card, he pulled a knife on you. Yes, sir. He didn't show me any ID card, sir. Don't you think that's odd? I mean, if he had his ID card, all he had to do was show it to you. There wouldn't be any reason to draw a knife. Maybe he just panicked? Everything stems from contradictions. Let's point them out. Mr. Wright, what do you think? I'm confused. What? The problem with this ID card testimony is far too obvious. It's not like Edgeworth to miss something like this. You're thinking too hard about it. Come on, let's show him what we've got. Okay, so I've got to present something. Okay, so I did look this up. However, I did think about this. Right? Because the court record mentions... we have Goodman's lost item report. So we never finished writing it, but it looks like he lost something. Now, his ID number is like 58 something something, so I'm not sure why it looks like a 4 or a 9 in the second position instead of an 8, but I don't know, maybe he writes his 8s funny. So this was something that I was thinking about, and then I looked it up, and this is apparently where you're supposed to use it. Wait one moment, Officer Meekins. I'm not good at waiting, sir. I have the victim's ID card right here. I found it at the crime scene. That makes sense. When I say crime scene, I'm not referring to the evidence room at the police department. I mean the other crime scene. The underground parking lot at the prosecutor's office. Your Honor, I have one more piece of evidence to present. It's a very important clue regarding the victim's ID card. A lost item report. It's only half completed. But it shows that Detective Goodman had lost something on the day of the crime. Something important enough to fill out this report. Let me guess. You believe this something to be his ID card, right? I can't say for sure, but there's a high probability. On the day of the crime, Detective Goodman was not carrying his card. Order! Order! So now, what does this all mean? It can only mean one thing. It doesn't require much thought. The man Officer Meekins encountered in the evidence room was not Detective Goodman, but rather the man who stole his ID card. Order! 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 Does the prosecution have a response? I have only one thing to say to the defense. Bravo, Mr. Wright. Bravo? Allow me to summarize the defense's argument. At 5:15 p.m. on the day of the crime, the man Officer Meekins encountered in the evidence room was not Detective Goodman. There are two grounds to support this. First, the locker in the evidence room is already unlocked. Second, the victim lost his ID card. Am I correct so far, Mr. Wright? Yes. What's he up to? That being the case, we must inevitably arrive at a single conclusion. If the victim in this video is a fake, then the murder in the evidence room is also fake. In other words, the security camera does not show the instant of the murder. That is... Well, I guess that's right. Is something wrong, Mr. Wright? Only moments ago you seemed content to be pointing your finger around. This isn't good. Ho ho ho. Well, it seems you finally realized exactly what you've gone to such lengths to prove. Explain yourself, Mr. Edgeworth. Mr. Edgeworth. The defense has already done the explaining for me. The victim in this video is a fake, which means a murder did not take place at the police department at 5:15 on the day of the crime. So the real crime could only take place at one location, the underground parking lot. At the prosecutor's office, the murderer being Miss Lana Skye, the defendant. The evidence is compelling. A trustworthy witness observed the moment the defendant used the murder weapon. Ah! I knew that testimony was way too shabby. It was all a trap from the beginning. The activity in the evidence room still leaves many questions unanswered. Who exactly was the victim Officer Meekins encountered? And where did this person disappear to? Presumably they crawled right under the camera. However, this trial's purpose is to examine only the murder of Detective Goodman. Just so, Your Honor. Mr. Wright, you have to do something, or else Lana... What do I do? How am I supposed to get myself out of this mess? Always object. Always object. One moment, Your Honor. What now, Mr. Wright? Don't tell me you're objecting to what you've just proven. Of course not. But I almost walked right into the prosecution's trap. What are you talking about? This cross-examination has proven one thing and one thing only. The security video did not show the actual murder. And he's gone. Maybe he is the Blue Badger. However, it cannot be said that it is unrelated to the murder in the parking lot. Specifically, large amounts of blood traces were found in the evidence room. The defense demands further examination into the truth of the matter. Mr. Edgeworth. Yes, Your Honor. If the court were to examine this further, other witnesses will be necessary. Is the prosecution prepared? I'm sorry, Your Honor. The prosecution considers the incident at the police department to be unrelated. We've not prepared any other witnesses for this incident. This just might be my chance. Time to call a certain Texas Ranger to the stand. Mr. Wright, do you mean, Your Honor, the defense would like to request a specific witness? Oh, whom do you have in mind? Someone we have reason to believe knows the truth. The truth behind the activities that took place in the evidence room. The prosecution requests to hear this person's name before deciding whether or not to comply. Very well then, Mr. Wright. This person whom you would have testified, what is his or her name? It's Damon Gant. Mr. Wright, I'm not even going to bother asking you why. I've never seen a more obvious stall tactic in my entire career. Mr. Wright, don't you remember what you said this morning? You know, about your trump card. That's right. Those bloody fingerprints we found in the evidence room. Now's my chance to bring him in to testify. Very well, Mr. Wright, we're gonna give you another try because you're an idiot. Let's just try a few more. There's some good options here. Mr. Wright, I'm not even going to bother asking you why, okay. I would hope there would be a good, like, reply to me trying to use the victim as the witness. Officer Jake Marshall. Why him? I can't let him know everything just yet. He's in charge of the evidence room. I feel we should hear what he has to say. The prosecution agrees to the defense's request. Since he was responsible for guarding the room, we should hear his testimony. Fortunately, he works in the police department. We shouldn't need longer than 20 minutes to prepare. Very well. The court will take a 30-minute recess while the witness is subpoenaed. Will the prosecution please prepare the witness during this time? We will, Your Honor. Court in recess. There's no stopping you, is there, Mr. Wright? Huh? What do you mean? You called for Jake Marshall. It seems you figured everything out. I haven't figured anything out. Lana, you're the one who knows everything. Emma, you always know everything. Why don't you just tell us? Mr. Wright is trying his hardest to protect you. I don't recall ever asking for his protection. How can you be so cold? Don't you trust us? Don't you trust me? Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals. Oh, I guess I am. I'll come back later. See you later. Oh, Detective Gumshoe, what is it? You've got a lot of nerve, pal. Making a detective run all around while on duty. And to top it off, you call me here. I've seen happier people at funerals. Sorry, detective. You better be, pal. Hey! Hey, hey! Hey, 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 hey! I didn't see you there, Miss Sky. That's okay, so... have you brought what I asked? You mean this, right? My apologies, detective. Due to my present circumstances, I was forced to use Mr. Wright's name when making my request. My name? Never in a million years would I have thought it was you who asked me. Could I bother you to bring me the SL9 incident files? I'll need them by noon. Talk about crazy. The SL9 incident? But Lana, that's... I thought Mr. Wright might need them, so I had them brought here. Here, you might do well to read them. I can't believe you! The chief prosecutor, we're a witness in that case. Miss Sky was a witness? Good to know. Take it from me! You don't want anything to do with serial murders. Let's take a look at that record. Files for the Darke killings? Solved 2 years ago. Closed. Criminal, Joe Darke, crime, serial murder, sentence, death. Edward Jones. We got quite a few victims. Trial data. Head prosecutor Miles Edgeworth, witnesses Lana Skye, Emma Skye. Oh, so both of them were witnesses. Investigation Task Force. Damon Gant, Lana Skye. Head investigator Bruce Goodman. So it's just everyone here. Everyone's part of the case. Alright. And that's all you need to know from that huge stack of papers. Oh, what? Now that I brought you your stuff, you're just gonna ignore me? Emma, but why? Why is your name in here? What? My name's in there? I don't know, unless... No, it couldn't be. Lana, this SL9 incident, is that... That's the classification number the police filed it under. 2 years ago. The rest of the world knew it as... the Joe Dark killings. The Joe Dark... No, Lana. That's over with. No. Emma, wait. She ran away. You know what? I just remembered. I gotta be somewhere. Sorry, pal, but I'm out of here. Jake Marshall, Angel Starr, Damon Gant, Miles Edgeworth. Not to mention Lana and Emma. Everyone involved in this case is connected to those killings 2 years ago. This can't be just a coincidence. Knowing you just might be able to figure it out. Time to get back to the trial, Mr. Wright. Best of luck. I'd better take a good look at this file. To be continued. Only I've actually got some time today, so I'm gonna actually just keep going.